Every day in every way.
Every day in every way.
Now, you know that's not the way you do it. Come on, let's go. No. Every day.
Every day in every way. I am getting better and better.
And again.
Every day in every way. I am getting better and better.
And once more.
Every day in every way. I am getting better and better.
You know, we've been using this affirmation for a long time. But I haven't with you, except for those of us who were together on Tuesdays, just giving you an in-depth lesson on it. So when I was told that the theme for the month is planting seeds of higher consciousness, that gives me an opportunity to really focus on every day, in every way. I am getting better and better because in essence, that's what you're doing, planting seeds of higher consciousness. Now, you're leaving here today with a tool, one of the three tools that we use in prayer. One is prayer. For us, we call it the spiritual line treatment. The other is meditation. And the third is affirmation. So every day in every way, I am getting better and better is one of the three tools, and it is an affirmation. And so it is a method of prayer. They're all three methods of prayer. But we know when it is appropriate to use one or the other, or a combination of, or all three, don't we? All right? So we're going to share our secrets with others who didn't come through the training with us. All right? And we're not charging you what we pay for all the classes. You know, in 1979, I started off at Martin Luther King Hospital, transferring over from Harvard General Hospital. And it was there that I met a group of friends who were of like minds. They say, well, birds of a feather flock together, water seeks its own level. You kind of draw to, you're drawn to. And I learned, I had been listening to Dr. Richard Liu, Dr. Hornaday, Reverend Shamba, who preceded the two of them on KIEB out of Glendale on the radio every morning, preparing for work. And I think that was my introduction, basically, to the thought. And then a couple of them were already sneaking off, going to hear Dr. Murphy and these various speakers, and I learned more about this teaching. And then somehow a couple of them were attending Science Mind classes at Founders. And so I joined them, and that's how I was introduced to Founders. And then this was Dr. Hornaby in the mornings. I just got drunk on this stuff. And I was enrolled in Science Mind 1 at Founders when on a Saturday. There was a symposium. They had annual symposiums all day Saturday, and speakers were on. Les and Dr. Dan was one of them. I'd not heard of Dr. Dan, nor had I heard of Guidance Church. But when this man stepped up on to that podium in this audience of about 2,000 people, and everybody jumped to their feet before he opened his mouth. And then when he opened his mouth, and on leaving, I heard a group of people talking about the experience that we had just experienced. And in that group of people were Michael and his group. And I tapped him on the shoulder and said, "What y'all talking about?" And the following Sunday I was here. And then I was in the classes, fast track through training classes, practitioner license, and then a number of years later through the School of Ministry, San Jose, where I went for 2 years, flying up there every Saturday for all-day Saturday classes. And in my second year, I was a Bible instructor in the classes for the students that I was teaching. Yeah. just that drunk on this stuff. Yeah. But when I came here, you had to get here early to get a seat. People were sitting all behind him everywhere, in the, wherever, in the social hall, in the added rooms over next door, just overflowing in 2 services. And on Wednesdays, I finally joined him, and we had the place packed out on Wednesday nights too. I said that to say that we owe a lot of gratitude to those of you who are here holding the ship together, Dr. Clara, Eric, the whole staff, the team. And I've never seen such loyalty as I've seen with coming out of this choir. I spoke to you, I shared there were 3 tools. One of the things that helped me so much was the learning the art of prayer, spiritual mind treatment, meditation, and affirmation, to the point that I decided to write a book about it. And it was called The Spiritual Mind Treatment by the great author Aman. And on page 85, the boy writes on affirmations. And he calls it finishing and detailing. See, after you pray, what do? And then after you pray, you go back and pray all over again, Dr. Ruth, Reverend Ruth. So when you have prayed, sometimes you just want to leave it alone. Sometimes you do feel you have to go back over it. But here's what Aman said. You don't have to use affirmations to build a spiritual mind treatment. But there are times after you have applied the spiritual mind treatment or after you pray, when uncertainty looms. Affirmations are useful in building faith in your prayer, holding on to your healing, and eliminating doubt. Add in their bullets. Affirmations are a series of statements based on spiritual principles. They are repeated until you get the desired results. That's why we say every day in every way, I am getting better and better after you have prayed. Emil Coué, the author of it, says, repeat it 10 times before you fall asleep. Repeat it all through the day. Every time you think of your desire, just continue to repeat it, and you're pulling it down. You're pulling it down. With affirmations, you bypass analyzing a condition or problem. Instead of analyzing, you neutralize. Affirmations are used to neutralize or cancel out. After a mountain implosion, now you imagine a mountain imploding. But that mountain, the Bible tells you, speak to the mountain. That mountain. That mountain. See, when you pray, the mountain is imploded. Then you employ a heavy-duty equipment. On the physical level, the material side of life, when you see something that's imploded or exploded, then they got big equipment come by to clean up. Isn't that right? Yeah. You employ heavy-duty equipment to stay on the paths of your mind, those memory tracks, to clear away debris left behind. That medicine ain't working. It's going to take a long time. This is impossible. You kidding yourself? Or go on and on and on. A mountain implosion represents a healing. Though the healing has already taken place, the disintegrated boulders sometimes leaves debris that is still alive. That's why we use affirmations after you pray. Jesus taught this as part of his teachings, because you know Jesus taught us science, the science of prayer. If you dissect those healing scriptures, you will see in it a science. What is a science but a method? What is science but when you do a thing, the same thing, and then you get the same results occurring over and over again when you use the same method, when you use the same process, if certain conditions exist. That's what science is. But when you study scriptures from that viewpoint, that's what you see, is that he taught a science. Well, he said words like these. These things that ye see me do, science, you do it too. But he put a qualifier in there. He says, if you believe. That's the science. If you believe. And he kept on saying, it is done unto you as you believe. Well, let's look at John chapter 14, verse 8 through 14. There was an unbeliever in there, and his name was Philip. Philip said unto him, Lord, show us the Father, and it will suffice us. And Jesus said unto him, have I been so long with you, and yet hast thou not known me, Philip? He that hath seen me has seen the Father. And how sayest thou then, show us the Father? Believest thou not that I am in the Father, and the Father in me? Now, Jesus came to be the great way shower, the great example. I am the way, the truth, and the life. And we just looked right over that. So if he came to be the great example and the great way shower and the great teacher, then what is true of him is true of you. What is true of him is true of me. Believest not that I am in the Father? Well, I am in the Father. It's what Jesus wants me to believe and practice. And the Father in me, then the Father is in me. Do you accept that? Do you believe that? Or do you see yourself as an exception? He didn't come to teach that he was an exception. He came to teach that I am the great example. He said, follow me. Am I right? Yeah. Do these things that are, how are you going to do the things that Jesus did if you don't let the Father in you do the things through you as the Father did through Jesus? It just made common sense to me when I came up in here. That's why I followed. I wanted some more of that. That makes sense to me. Believest now that I am, but he was teaching that the I am that was in him was imagination. I am is your imagination that is in you, because that's how Jesus did his powerful work, was through the power of imagination. Believe me. Well, believest thou, let me reread that. Believest thou not that I am in the Father, and the Father in me? The words that I speak unto you, I speak not of myself. These are not my words that I'm speaking. I am just saying what I'm listening to. I'm just downloading. And as I hear, I speak. But the words that are coming out of my mouth, they're not being mine. And if they're God's, because they're God's, they are filled with life and power. And they go forth and bring back according to the images and the likeness of that word. Now you go do the same thing for him. No, I'm waiting for Jesus to do it. No. He said, open your mouth and speak in faith, believing that the words are pouring out. But you get that out of meditation. So you go into meditation. I said prayer, meditation, affirmation. So you go into meditation. You get still and you wait. And you get that no, open your mouth. And let the words flow out of your mouth. They're not your words. But if you don't believe it, it's done unto you as you believe. Believe me that I am in the Father and the Father in me, or else believe me for the very works' sake. Verily, verily, I say unto you, that he that believeth on me, the works that I do shall he do also. And greater works than these shall he do, because I go unto my Father. Because means that's how. Because I go unto my Father. You can go unto your Father through meditation. You go unto your Father through affirmations. And whatsoever you shall ask in my name, that will I do, that the Father may be glorified in the Son. If you shall ask anything in my name, I will do it. If you ask anything in the nature in which you see me do, in the method that you see me use, according to the science that you see me do, then it shall be done unto you. That's my name. In my name, in the way that you see me do, in my manner, in my method. All right? So, there are two words that I want you to hold on to, and they are promise and perseverance. Prayer equals promise and perseverance. I want to say it this way. Prayer equals promise plus perseverance. Now I want you to use your imagination and see a plus sign. You know what a plus sign is? Now let's make an equation. An equation is that is on the left side equals to all of whatever you have on the right side. Adding all those things together on the right side equals to that one property that's on the left side, right? So let's see prayer on this side. Put an equal sign there, and let's put promise plus perseverance. So prayer is something that you practice scientifically. But the way it works is a combination of that's on the other side of that equation. Promise plus perseverance. Promise is God's part. Perseverance is your part. But there's a plus side, which means that if you just have promise with nothing on the other side of that plus, you ain't get nothing. As they say, all things being equal is an unsuccessful prayer. Prayer equals, you've got to do something. But what we do is that we just work on the promise. God said he will do it. Now, what God said is that when you get up off your feet, treat and move your feet, pray and move your feet, God has done his part, its part, waiting for you. That's perseverance. Right? All right. Joshua 1, verse 8. This book of the law, that's the promise. This book of the promise, book of promises, shall not depart out of thy mouth, but thou shalt meditate. Told you, meditate. Meditate therein day and night. That's why you say every day in every way, I am getting better and better. Don't you let this word depart from your mouth every day in every way. I am getting better and better. Bring that prayer through. That thou mayest observe to do according to all that is written therein. And then it says, for then. Do you see? Not until. For then thou shalt make thy way prosperous, and then thou shalt have good success. Okay, the law is the promise, right? Yeah. And then we got the perseverance part that we're going to bring in now through our focus on affirmation. We know that God will. We know that God can. We know that all things are possible with God. We know that when you pray, it's already done, it's already answered, but then why isn't it showing up? What Jesus said, you lack unbelief. That's in the category of unbelief. We're going to use the writing that you have in your pass out. If you'll look at that, this is how we're going to suture this thing up and wrap it up. So this is taken from a document that's called Self-Mastery, written in the, I guess, around 1800 something by Emile Coué. Could pronounce it, it's French, Coué. And he was a psychologist slash pharmacist. And his practice was that when people came to him, he would, out of his apothecary, because they didn't have pharmacies, they were a person who mixed potions, mixed medicine together, and then they would administer it to the people based upon what they're presenting with. But the difference between him and others, are you following? The difference between his process and his method and others is that people who came to him were healed. They got results that the others didn't get. They just gave them some stuff. Put the money in the pocket and walked away. But what he did, his distinction was that when he gave them the potion, the medicine or whatever, he gave it to them with an affirmation. And he convinced them that this will work and it will do what I'm prescribing it to you for. And they will report back healed. And so one of the most famous, powerful of his affirmations was every day. And I want you to say this now, when you take this. Every day, in every way, I am getting better and better. Jesus, in his healing, used the power of suggestion and auto-suggestion. He convinced the people that this will work. He was a good teacher. Am I right? Yeah. But like with Emil Coué, he wrote in this document called Self-Mastery, he said, though many people came to me, I was not successful in helping all of them. And he said the difference is that those who did come and practice this believed, and I was able to work with them through this power of auto-suggestion. I said to them, and they believed. You're going to use this. What you're doing is you're using the power of auto-suggestion when you're using this affirmation. You're moving from conscious to unconscious. You're going from sense to soul, from head to heart. And you're helping God. Not that God needs your help, but you're helping yourself get out of God's way so that God's stuff can work. Removing your doubt, removing your worry, removing your fear, removing your questions, removing your when is it going to work. And so, Coué writes here in this article on self-mastery, in order to understand properly the phenomena of suggestion, or more correctly, of auto-suggestion, because that's what we're teaching you here, and how to make your prayer effective, effectual prayer, using auto-suggestion. You're using it all of the time anyway, but we're learning how to use it deliberately with purpose. He says, it is necessary to know that two absolutely distinct selves exist within us. Both are intelligent, but while one is conscious, the other is unconscious. And what we're not working with, our problem is that conscious. Oh, we got that. Rolling 24/7. It's just going and going and going and going. And it's producing. And where it is, but it's the unconscious that we're not working with deliberate intention. The unconscious self, he says, is provided with a marvelous and impeccable memory which registers the smallest events without our knowledge. Further, it is credulous and accepts what it is told. 3 weeks ago now, my niece calls. I just started on this new job. And this is Saturday night. And can you keep Jacob? I said, number one, does he have a haircut? Is he dressed right? Is he this and this and this? Then yes. She texts me back a few minutes later, I forgot to tell you that he has a cold. Well, I have another rule. You got to look right, but don't bring him to my house if he has a cold. Because I'm not catching a cold. You guys don't ever see me with colds and stuff. That's because I take care of myself. So why should I just subject myself to this when you're just messing up yourself? But this was her first day on the new job. So what do? Bring him on, but I will not do it again. That was Sunday morning. Now I was going to go to church. I was going to think I was coming to hear Reverend Gerald speak that day, whoever it was. But I was with him all day Sunday. Now, Monday morning, I can't talk. I got a headache. I'm just a mess. I'm sick. Why? The power of auto-suggestion. I was raised that way. You're going to catch a cold. You don't take a shower in the morning. You don't take a bath in the morning and go out there. You're going to get sick. Guess what I don't do? I don't care how much science and math I got in me. If I take a bath in the morning, I'm going to ICU that night. Why? Because we have these tracks in our mind. We have these tracks, these memory tracks. And it is the power of affirmation that can change those tracks. You see, you might have prayed for something, but you're not tilling the soil. You're not working with those tracks. And I had my workshop for Tuesday morning that I do on Tuesdays over at LA 3rd. And I'm saying, oh Lord, I need to call Rena and ask her to contact these people to tell them I can't show up there tomorrow. And so what I did, I went, but this is what the reason I'm sharing this with you is because this is what we're using in that workshop. Right. So Ruth, I had to challenge myself. I said, there's the mirror, you know, they got to use this stuff. And so the man had an apothecary, right? He went in there, he mixed up a potion and gave it to the people, and then he gave it to them with the affirmation. So I got up and I got busy. I went into my pharmacy. I went into my apothecary. Apothecary, you know what I'm saying. First, I opened the door of the refrigerator. I saw some carrots, I saw some onions, I saw some green pepper, I saw some rotisserie chicken. I cut off some of the rotisserie chicken, and then I threw it on the. I won't tell you my other secret stuff. I know you're waiting for me. Stuff right around. And then so I steamed and stewed that soup. Oh, I couldn't eat before then. That soup was so good, and after I finished it, I just felt revived. Then I got on my bed and I practiced this every day and every way, all day, the rest of the day and the night. And then the next morning I was there. Is there anybody here who was at the workshop? Didn't we have fun? Sailed right on through like nothing. A little cough here and there, but it was gone. That hasn't happened for me like that before. Do you hear what I'm saying? Let's say it together. Every day, in every way, I am getting better and better. Every day, in every way, I am getting better and better. He says here, further, it is credulous, talking about that unconscious mind, and it accepts what it is told. Whatever you tell it, it does not scream. It does not filter. If you believe it. Election night, a couple years ago, all the they just giggling. He won't win, he won't win, he won't win. Oh, it's ridiculous. I don't even know why. Then suddenly they were quiet. They were staring at each other. They didn't know what to say. Because that man worked with that unconscious mind. See, but you don't know. I think I've read that his father and grandfather, Napoleon Hill and them were buddies. They read Napoleon Hill. Anybody who does not know who Napoleon Hill was? A great metaphysical teacher and author. You see, teaching this stuff. The power of imagination was one of Napoleon Hill's basic theses and themes. Come on now. The man used this stuff. It is done unto you as you believe. That's why it says it is credulous. It'll believe in anything you tell it. Whatever you tell it. So what you've been telling it is, if this boy come around me, I'm just sick. And it gives you that. Okay. Not only does the unconscious self preside over the functions of our organism, but also over all our actions, whatever they are. It is this that we call imagination. But before going further, it is necessary to define clearly these two words. These words are suggestion and auto-suggestion. Suggestion does not indeed exist by itself. You may make a suggestion to someone. If the unconscious does not accept the suggestion, we've accepted too much stuff. There are suggestions that we've accepted and we're still dealing with it for 30 years. But you can go back and change the track with new suggestions. You may make a suggestion to someone. If the unconscious does not accept the suggestion, if it has not, as it were, digested it, if it doesn't digest it, in order to transform it into auto-suggestion, it produces no result. He could do no miracles in his home country. He had to go afar. They didn't know even who you think you are. We saw you grow up here. You got no power. But he met those who believed and who could accept. See this thing, two words, acceptance and agreement. Would you pray for me? Some people you can pray for and pray with and there are results. And some you can't. What's the difference? The difference, because there's something else that Cooley said when he said the people that he couldn't help, he said it had nothing to do with me. He said there were some I couldn't help. But it had nothing to do with me. All right? If the unconscious of the subject refuses to accept it, it cannot transform into auto-suggestion. Yeah. You got to take that paper with you and meditate on that. I was here when the fire, when they drove past here smoke, when folks said, what's going on in there? And they saw all the people coming out looking just like, anyway, what happened was, I had become a licensed practitioner after a few years, and a lot of y'all know that I was smoking. And I was in Wilshire District, and I had an office there at a separate location, and one thing I had done, we were very busy, and there was a lady who was a member or an attendee of this church, and but she called me and asked me if I would see her relative. I believe it was her brother, someone who was very close to her, who was not a part of this teaching. That's important. Come on now. That's important. It's not what happens to you. It's what you know before it happens. And then if you know it, then use it. Well, this man came to me, and he had a certain number of days to live based on his condition. Now, when I was a practitioner at that level, I was very, very popular, but I was hanging more on the material side, the prosperity side, you know. You know what I'm saying? Not over there on healing death stuff, you know. I hadn't upgraded to that level of power. So when the man came to me, I thought, I'm not been wasting my time with this man. So here's what life, God man go home and die. So I said, have you heard of Reverend Shamba? Anybody here heard of Reverend Shamba? He was on that hour of power in the radio in the morning. He came on first, and then one a day, and then all those. You know. I was on the radio then. You know, I joined later on because I was hot. Anyway, what happened was, I said, Reverend Shamba goes all over the country and the world, and he has 10 meetings and thousands pour in there. And I had gone to one before. When I was up in San Jose going to school, I went to one, but he was going to be in Pomona. And so I said, would you let me take you there? He said, yeah, I know about him, but hey, what makes you think he's going to see me out of all those hundreds of thousands of people? And I said, man, we're going. So we got in the car. Now I'm following spirit. I'm doing my affirmations. Now I'm studying in here, spiritual mind tree, prayer, meditation, and affirmation. So I zoned in, and I just kept on praying. Because all the way we got there. And when we got to the front, I'm listening to Spirit, told me to talk to this man at the door, helping people in. And I told him who I was, but the man said, don't tell him who you is, really. Because I was a mom. Now I'm going up there in front of those people talking about mom. They look at me like I'm crazy. I said, I'm Reverend Johnson. And I got a member of my congregation here, and I want to know that Reverend Shepard will see me in there. I gave him a note. I said, would you please give him this note? I know hundreds of people do that. They use all kinds of schemes to get to this man and to get ahead and all this kind of stuff. But it worked. Here I am sitting deep into these hundreds of people, and the process is that the people, they have the music and the singing and all that stuff, and then at some point way into the program, there's a line of people lying on both sides. They come across and he prays for them, lay hands on them, they fall or do whatever, and they walk away healed. Well, we're sitting there ahead of the protocol. Early in the service, long before this is supposed to happen, I hear a loud cry. Reverend, calling me. I hear that you got a member of your congregation in the audience. I want you to bring them up here because we're going to get the devil off of them tonight. Pray. But we're talking about acceptance. We're talking about an agreement. We're talking about two-part. We're talking about the promise, and we're talking about the perseverance. That's your part. You got to accept it. You got to be in agreement. That's that auto-suggestion part. So if you're wondering why something's not coming through, but Kui said, God doesn't do with me, I done my part. God is saying, it is done unto you as you believe. Called the man up there, prayed for him, laid his hands on him. It was an awesome experience. The man came back and sat with us in the audience. Oh, he just couldn't stop. So the wife said, baby, are you all right? And he said, fire, 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 just going all through it. So shortly we left, came back home. A few weeks later, well, let me back up. So the next few days in my office, it was up here upstairs. And then someone comes to the desk and gives me 10 $100 bills. That was the person, the relative who I took him out to him. I was grateful for that, but I don't charge, but we'll settle on it. So I had to throw that in to get this part in. Sometime after that, I heard that the man had passed on. He wanted to go down south to visit his mother. He'd go home to his mother share this blessing for her birthday. I remember him saying that. But then I remember hearing that the man passed away. Why am I sharing that? Acceptance. Agreement. You got to do your part. The man did his part. Can you hold on to it? That's where your affirmations. So if he had been trained like we're trained, then you come home and you do the suture. You go to the hospital and get the surgery, but you got to take care. You got to take care of your stuff. You know what I'm saying? You got to work on it. Work on it every day in every way. I am getting better and better every day in every way. I am getting better and better every day in every way. I can see things falling in place every day in every way. I can feel and sense this thing passing away every day in every way. I can feel the angels all around me every day in every way. They're hanging around the windows and the doors and everything. You gotta go crazy with it. You do your part. God has done its part. That's the purpose of every day and every way. I am getting better and better. No, I don't get refunds if it don't work. You don't get your money back. If you persuade yourself that you can do a certain thing, provided this thing be possible, you will do it, however difficult it may be. If, on the contrary, you imagine that you cannot do the simplest thing in the world, it is impossible for you to do it. And molehills become for you unscalable mountains. And so it is. what we're going to do is suture it with those affirmations. I just want you to think about that's something that you have prayed about already, and then we're going to leave it alone. Except we're going to deal with the debris, which is the doubt, the fear, the worry, the unbelief, okay, the questioning. You're getting all into God's business. Think about that, something that you prayed for, that you hoped for. That person that you were praying for, yeah, she got 25 years and was guilty. But do you want to see him walking out free? Oh yeah, you just read it, you just heard it, you just know the promise. All things are possible with God. Because it says, with God, all things are possible. Yeah. You need this house, job, bad credit. Don't even know how to begin to get that down payment. Oh, wait a minute. With God, not God can do anything. It didn't say that. It says with God. There's a with and a plus sign. A promise and a plus sign. With your perseverance. With God, all things are possible. With God, there is nothing that you cannot do. That's why we say, and let's say it together. Every day, in every way, I am getting better and better. Once more. Every day, in every way, I am getting better and better. Now, with that pain, with that sickness, with that malady, with that condition, try this. I did it the other day, and it worked. I had to make a decision. Do I call and make a doctor's appointment, or do I go to the apothecary? And so I went to the apothecary, and I got this little bottle of aspirin, and I took one. I took it to bed, and I swallowed it. And as I took the water slowly, I went through my healing meditation, knowing and directing that medicine to do what it can do according to the prescription that I was writing and saying. Go to the spot, go to the place, and do your stuff. And 3 days later, there's no sign of the pain. Because I kept saying, every day, in every way, I am getting better and better. Oh yeah, there's an impasse in this relationship, no talking. God will work it out. 30 years ago and still no relationship. Hey, whatever it is, all you have to do is in your imagination, see yourself hugging that person. See that person going away from you, waving and smiling and saying, I can hardly wait to see you again. And then say, every day, in every way, I am getting better and better. Every day, in every respect, this thing is working in ways that I know not of. And now, as we go forth from this place, you fill in the blank. And whatever it is that Spirit tells you to do, as He told me to go take that aspirin, you will hear a voice behind you say, do this, do that. Don't do this, don't do that. And then know that as you affirm this prayer statement, that indeed, through your imagination, you have to visualize, because Scripture says where there is no vision, people perish. Vision is imagination. In your vision, which is God seen through your mind, you see. As He told Elijah, he prayed, open his eyes that he may see. And when the soldier opened his eyes, he looked and saw that they were encamped with thousands of soldiers there to protect them, where they couldn't see it until they opened their eyes. And now in your vision, you see that in the divine heavens of your mind, there is going on a divine conspiracy. God is setting up things. God is setting up circumstances. God is setting up conditions. God is making all things right for this that you're desiring to come to pass. And all you have to do is continue to affirm every day, in every way, in all respects, I am getting better and better. And so it is.